Little money. Yay, no dropping frames.
Inside the book that I wrote are all the words that we spoke, yet only with our eyes. Now is the time to choose. Somebody wins and some lose. You can see through your disguise. Lay it down, hope for something better. Looking at the clouds, the sliver in the weather. You can't keep this up. The lies are just too much. Kick back, start another fire. Looking at the clouds, making shapes that you admire.
Hey everybody, it's Neil with the Dastardly Gentleman, and with me I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
Hello. I was very concerned there for a second. I was like, am I gonna be in this one? Should I go?
Like, I don't know why you didn't just pop up right away, but whatever. You know.
I don't know. Hey, here I am now, and that's what's important.
That's what's important, indeed. So, if you haven't been reading the news, it's my birthday today. Happy birthday!
Which is not in the news.
It's in my news, in your news.
You got a pamphlet for that?
I mean, I've been handing them out all day.
Hey, did you know it's my birthday? It's my birthday.
What did you give me? You gonna
Fuck
come
outta
to my
here,
party? Also reading the news, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is we're going to talk about the history of the world, foreign powers, recommended by our buddy Dean. Your suggestions matter. And, you know, government takeovers.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been reading the news, just so you know, I think it's okay. I've been reading a lot of stuff, but it's kind of conflicting. What's the consensus, Frank? Did we experience voter tampering or election tampering?
That actually isn't really that clear because the accusation is, did Russia interfere with the election in some way? Yes, because they were like running the ads and whatever. But I mean, like, as far as like hacking and influencing the way that the election was conducted, I don't really know if they've decided that or not.
All right. So it's still kind of up in the air. They're still investigating it. A lot of what I've been hearing lately, I mean, you know, you're gonna get from my perspective, so use your noggin here, do your own research. But from what I can tell, originally, you know, if a foreign power were to interfere in our elections, it would be a grave injustice, and it would require retaliation and this, that, and the other. But now that it might actually be happening, those same people are saying, well, we do it to other countries, so, you know, it's kind of what comes around goes around. So why do you think that is, Frank?
Why do I think that it goes around comes around?
Why do you think that the the position changed so quickly when these same people were very much so against American elections being tampered with. But now they're, it's okay. It happens to everybody.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think a lot of it probably is that, you've got it would be terrible if they did it, but then they're like, well, I mean, is it that bad though? I guess I don't know. Maybe it's like this the good old American complacency issue, or the false equivalency, being like, well, just because like we used to do it to other people doesn't means that it's okay if it happens to us. It's not okay either way. By the way, no. Both of them are immoral injustice. Absolutely. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think it's because it's happening on their team, the whole gang mentality thing. Oh, well, if it would have been a Democrat, then, then burn him at the stake. But I don't know. It's. I think it's a team thing. It doesn't matter who it happens to or what happens. If there's tampering in an election, if there's voter fraud, if there's any of that shit, like, we have no recourse other than go to war with that country that did it, but we're obviously not doing that. We still need more facts.
Even if, as we are right now, we can hit them with like a whole variety of sanctions.
True.
I mean, like that'll do us probably a lot more good than anything else. And the fact that like if you can actually like prove it, at least like not even beyond a shadow of a doubt, but prove to enough people that it's taking place, that person will get further sanctions from NATO and the UN. And not to mention they would probably lose their security privilege, which they should. But apparently, unfortunately, it was one of those things where like I kind of agree with Trump in a lot of ways. Where like he's like, well, yeah, we should, no, it shouldn't even be in NATO, like, or the UN. Like, he's probably not wrong.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's a supercilious organization that serves absolutely no purpose at this point. Because like whenever things actually are happening in NATO countries, they don't do anything. So it's like, well, if we're going to pay for it, and we're going to have NATO, and we're going to make it so that it's supposed to oversee all these other countries, and you're not going to actually step in whenever an injustice has gone on between the two and moderate it in some way, what good are you? Because I mean, they, like NATO is like, whenever they were doing the ethnic cleansing in Kosovo, well, we're gonna write a strongly worded letter to Slobodan Milosevic. Really? Because he's fucking killing everyone anyway. I mean, I'm sure he read your letter. Went,
okay.
No, shoot those children. Put them in a ditch. It doesn't matter. Fuck them. They're served. Kill them.
Kind of reminds me of the Phantom Menace. But okay, you want me to explain that? Okay,
I feel like you need to qualify that a little because I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, so
I will make it illegal.
So one of the reasons why Palpatine came into power, which is a lot of it was by his influence, but basically Amidala comes to the Senate to beg the Senate to stop the Trade Federation from invading Naboo and killing their people. And then Palpatine be like, look, the head guy, he's gonna like tell you we're totally gonna help. And then those guys are gonna be like, hey, we should send a crew to investigate these claims that you're making, these wildly false claims that you're making. And then what you should do is vote for no confidence in the Chancellor. And it went down exactly like that. So basically the Chancellor said, hey, you know what, you were there, your people are dying, but we don't all believe you, so we're going to send out a crew to check on that, just to make sure. By the time we get there, they'll probably all be dead, but we got to make sure.
It is a lot like that. And the thing that's really kind of galling about it is that there was already evidence that this was taking place. Like, right. They had already done the investigation, and then the UN was like, well, we need to make a motion to go in there and then find out, whether or not we need to step in. And it's like, well, this is the purpose that you serve. This is the whole reason for your existence, is to mitigate this kind of, acts against humanity. So if you're saying that you're going to have to make a strongly worded letter, and then you're going to have to make a motion to make a motion. No, children are being killed in the streets simply because of like the particular tribe that they're in, and this is in a supposedly NATO UN protected area. So what you need to be doing is that as soon as you have the hint that that's happening, you need to start sounding the drums of war.
Yes.
I mean, at the very least, mobilize a substantial force to go in there and keep the peace until you do find out what's happening.
Absolutely. I mean,
and then what they did end up doing is they sent in a token force to basically be like, all right, everybody put your guns down. And then what did Milosevic's guys do? They killed them. And then what's even worse is they killed them, and then they wore their uniforms, and they pretended to be UN soldiers to lure out people that were in hiding because they thought the UN had come to save them. And then they rounded them all up and murdered them all.
damn.
And then to my understanding, it took America individually to come in and then actually stop it.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess I wasn't too far into the news back then, but damn, I had no idea.
I mean, it was brutal, and it was one of those things where it came about because the destabilization of that area came about after the fall of the Soviet Union, which even during the Soviet Union, it really wasn't all that much better. But I mean, once you had all the little vassal states, that's feudal. Once you had all the satellite states broke away from the greater part of the USSR, you ended up having all these little, like, I don't know, like the beef dominar fights, and then it went right back to the old Cossack style of this tribe versus that tribe. And it's the same way it's been for a bazillion years, and it seems to always revert that way whenever there's no greater authority in the area.
Right.
I mean, like if you had Alexander there, it didn't happen. If you had Rome there, it didn't happen. If you had Russia there, it didn't happen. But like if you leave them alone, it'll happen. It's just like the Middle East. If you don't have some overarching superpower to sit on the Middle East and keep them from killing each other, they will immediately resort back to tribal warfare. Like it's insane. Like if you can see it throughout the course of history. They had tribal warfare up until the point of the Crusades. During the Crusades, they were all fractured and divided, getting killed constantly by the Crusaders until all of a sudden they decided, hey, we should probably have a singular person to be able to put into power. And then they were more or less unsuccessful up until Saladin came around, and then he united all the tribes. But then immediately preceding his death, they fractured again, and they all started killing each other again. It's like, you don't have to fucking do that all the time. It's unnecessary to constantly kill yourselves. Stop.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, we are on the outside looking in over there. You don't. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Okay, so what do you think brings, other than a government official, government head, or whatever, like whatever? I mean, what do you think brings a society together so that how does it work for America? How does it work for any other more civilized country when there's a change of power or when there's a loss of the head? How does it work?
America's always functioned under the principle of one nation, one purpose, one goal. So we as a nation tend to gravitate towards the ideal of the nobility of freedom and the autonomy of the individual, while still serving an overall collective purpose. So our overall collective purpose is the perpetuation of our nation, but we serve the ideal that the individual is free to make that choice.
Right.
Well, the nations, it's more compulsory. Like, you will serve the state in this way, China. You will serve, the oligarchy in this way, or you will lose everything, Russia. Or you're required to vote a certain way, otherwise, or you risk being ostracized by the greater part of society, the UK, and to a larger degree, the EU now. So I mean, even though America is still one of those still great experiments of the individual freedom of expression through election. Right. And even though in a lot of ways I'm kind of I really think that's a terrible idea. There's so much about individually letting an individual express their desires through voting, because generally speaking, people are idiots. So I mean, you don't really want to give the keys to the nation to a bunch of people who are ignorant. And that was one of the things that, you know, because we briefly talked about this last night in stream, but you know, Socrates hated democracy, despite being that he was from the bedrock of the democratic election in Athens, because he felt that it gave people who didn't know any better the right to be confused by the people who did. And so you could have an orator get up there and tell you, like, you know, this tax is going to be so good for you. You're going to just love this, and it's going to make it the best thing ever. Your life is going to turn around. Oh yeah, it's the best. And then you find out, well, it's really great for him. Really, that is tight. I too would like to drink out of Chewbacca's spinal column. Anyway, but I mean, so then you have this this orator who convinces you that this tax is great, but then you find out that, you know, this tax is great for him, and now it's like he never said anything about you in particular. He said that it was going to be great, but like, if you're ignorant and you don't know how, and you don't understand rhetoric, and you don't understand anything that's going on in your culture at the time, then you would be easily swayed by that. And he hated that, so he basically had to pass an aptitude test in order to be able to vote as far as Socrates was concerned.
Okay.
And I think that we as America would benefit from that, but at the same time, that would also take away like a lot of the principle behind our founding principle, which would be individual freedoms to choose.
Sure. I mean, my take on that is, yeah, I think we would benefit greatly from an aptitude test in order to influence the direction of the country as a whole. But that being said, the people that don't have that kind of intelligence, the people that don't put in the work to learn, I mean, you look at it as two different ways, or actually one way, but two different sides. Okay, you've got the intelligent people, the people that have sophisticated themselves enough to reason, to debate, to just talk it through. And then you've got the less intelligent people, the people that have not put the work in, have not researched anything. They think education is for, I don't know, nerds. I mean, they spit on it. They think it's a waste of time because who knows. So you've got these people, the intelligent people, making decisions for the less intelligent people. The less intelligent people generally will respond with violence, and in great numbers. So if they don't like the way things are going, or if they feel like they're being talked down to, or they feel like, you know, their intelligence or lack thereof is being insulted, that's where the violence comes in. So I don't think that would work. I mean, it's been shown throughout any other society that the less intelligent people get mad, they start swinging, they start fighting, they start shooting. So how do you get over that? How do you get past that?
It's actually easy. The Romans called it bread and games. So, like, you know, you make the decisions for the people.
Mm-hmm.
You just tell them, you know, this is what we're going to do. Well, I don't like that. Well, I know you don't. I know you don't, and I get that. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to load up the Circus Maximus, and y'all get in free. You know? Because we understand that you guys don't like that. But this is our concession to you. To you doing that, we are going to let you have bread and games anytime you want to. The Circus Maximus is open. There'll be blood in the sand, and it'll be great. Well, fuck yeah, dude. And so you give... So, like, you do have your less intelligent people who don't realize that they're getting snookered big time. And then you give them something that they'll go, oh, well, hell yeah. Because people don't care. Even, I mean, like, I understand what you're saying about people being talked down to. I think that you're giving people too much credit. I don't think that the people in question would actually understand they are being talked down to. B, I also don't really think that they care as long as they're being taken care of. Because I think that people's, like, being incited to violence through what's a good word for it, patrimony, would be to go to violence, sure, but I think that if you give them something, or you take care of them, or you tell them, like, yeah, we're gonna do that, but you're not gonna have to worry about where your source of food comes from. Well, I guess I can get over that.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like look at exactly what happened whenever the Twin Towers came down. What's the first thing that we did? Practically suspend habeas corpus. So like we're gonna take away essentially your freedom. We're gonna take away your freedom to privacy just on a government will.
Right.
And they still have they still have it. So I mean, but it's okay because they're taking care of us. It's not fucking okay.
No.
It wasn't okay then. It's not okay now. It will continue to never be okay. And it's that kind of mentality and that kind of positioning that allows this kind of shit that happens with Russia. Because now let's just say if the government is monitoring the entire country and they know everything about us now, and then Russia hacks the government, or you happen to have someone, I don't know, say in a very high level position of power, possibly the highest position of power, who's a government agent, and decides that he just wants to hand the keys of the kingdom over to Russia. We've had years of being spied on by our government.
Right.
But people were okay with it because we were being taken care of. And
so to speak.
I mean, as far as the majority population, that especially in particular that you were referring to, all they knew is that the government was taking care of them.
Okay.
And they didn't care about it. They didn't care about anything else. We're being taken care of. Oh, okay, cool. Like, well, don't worry. We're gonna defend your freedom by knowing everything about the terrorists, and we're just gonna be able to go into their bank accounts and everything else, and just take whatever we want. All right, good. For the terrorists, good that you're doing that to terrorists. I mean, here's the thing: how do you know they're a terrorist? You don't until you've already wrecked their lives. Right. So I mean, yeah, it's like they're spying on you, dog. I mean, your whole government officially just voted themselves to be judge and jury over like the remainder of your life.
Yeah, and you gave them that power. That's exactly like that. Okay, so I don't think people give George Lucas enough credit for Phantom Menace and how exactly the same it is as current day politics. I mean,
well, sure, but I mean, it's because he's a terrible writer.
Well, yeah, I mean, he basically just copy pasted.
Makes garbage choices whenever it comes to
a script,
lead roles or actors, really.
Listen, it is fantastic because it's way dumbed down. So people like that aren't really like paying attention to what's happening, they'll be like, "Hey, this seems familiar." But you look at like when well, that wasn't. Yeah, was it Phantom Menace or was it Episode 2?
For which one?
When Jar Jar granted emergency powers.
That was 2.
That was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Granted emergency powers to the Chancellor to form the clone army. Basically said, hey, we're gonna like put all of our faith in you and put all of our eggs in one basket, and like you fix this thing, this giant bowl of shit right here, but when you're done, when you solve that problem, you're just gonna take those powers away. Okay, all right.
I mean that's exactly what Caesar did.
Yeah.
I mean that's one of the things where like you watch the Phantom Menace and you watch Attack of the Clones, you're like, oh, this is Caesar. So and the emperor is Caesar. Well, except for that the emperor loses.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like it's pretty fucking obvious, and like people are just like, I'm so scared. Like, how many people died during the Twin Towers? It was like a couple hundred.
2,500.
Okay, 2,500 people died in the whole thing with the Twin Towers during 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, granted, the mortality rate in general in this country, that's like a light day, but it was scary. It was all televised.
2,996.
It was televised. It was, it was like a giant wound opened in our country and all of us. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we gotta do something. But the death toll, I mean, that's not a lot.
Well, I mean It's that it was a foreign, it's that it was a foreign power, effectively,
Right.
in instigating the deaths of 3,000 Americans. I mean, like there's a great video that I watched where it was okay. It's great, but it's unfortunate where they're talking about the differences between Obama and previous presidents, where so who was it? The Libyan Muhammad Gaddafi. Yeah. So he kills one American, and then in response, Ronald Reagan completely flattens. I think it was like 3 or 4 air bases, and then goes on TV and just flat says like, any attack on one American is an attack against all Americans.
Right.
And then immediately following that, they had a video where it was Obama pretty much apologizing to the Islamic State for Americans, and I'm like, what? Like, and I think that's one of the things, because we were talking about like the spirit of America before, or like what makes America like function differently. I think that's one of the reasons why, because like if anything, like America almost functions sort of like a high-powered mafia.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, and it's like we can fight amongst ourselves, sure. And there's a Charlie Daniels song that does that, the South rises again, or whatever.
Sure.
That sure we might fight amongst ourselves, but I can't remember how the exact lyric goes, but it basically boils down to like, yeah, we'll fight each other, but if any of you foreign folk come in and try to fight us, then we'll kill all of you. Like, yeah, that's America in a nutshell. Because I mean, it's like, they I love the spirit of that, where especially like with like again with that Reagan video, like the one American national gets killed, and they know it's an American national, and they kill him because he's an American. It's like, oh, okay, well, here, we're gonna destroy all this shit. That's your shot across the bow.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's your opening warning shot. We just killed hundreds of your people and just deep sixed almost the entirety of your Air Force. Now, try it again. Say something. Say something. Do something. They ain't gonna be nothing. I'm gonna turn that little palace of yours into fucking rubble. And I love that. I mean, I think every American probably does that. And I think that whenever an American is injured or killed abroad, and then America responds like that, I cannot imagine a single American that's not like,
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, that immediately unites the country. Like that's one of those things. It's like you can't. It's not polarized. It's 100-0. Like you
exactly.
Know, there's.
It's like we'd be outside. Like like there's Democrats, there's Republicans. It doesn't matter. Like we're all Americans. We're all like fuck yeah, because like there's one there's one guy for whatever like one guy gets killed in Syria. That's American. America responds by like basically like firebombing like half of a Syrian camp. Be like,
yeah, I mean, it's I'll tell you this much: it's really easy when you know who's doing the attacking.
Oh, sure.
When it comes down to terrorism, like
But that's the thing. we know that too, because these idiots take claim. They're like, well, yeah, we did that. Like, do you really want to post that? I mean, it's like the Boko Haram guys. Like, they start shooting up the mall or whatever in Africa, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was us. And then like the next thing you know, like they're getting like slaughtered wholesale, like wherever they happen to be, because like the African government in charge is like, okay, well we know now, so let's go. They just like, all right, we're gonna use these guys. We're gonna shut down the guys that are here, and then everybody else jump inside of these convoy trucks, and we're just gonna drive down to their compound, and we're just gonna kill everyone. I mean, like, there's no survivors, no need. It's fine.
It's fine. It's completely fine.
The only thing that bugs me about, as far as foreign powers enacting on American soil goes, is that it's like we allow some level of clemency depending on the nation doing it. And the thing that also upsets me is that we have, even though he's very boorish, we have a president who is not willing to keep on those American ideals, right, of we are under attack, or we are under attack and that we need to do something about it.
Right.
He's much more of like, you know, it. Let's just say Chad, the African nation of Chad, in the very center of Africa, just caught an American, and you know what? They just went completely fucking insane and they killed him. I imagine Trump would probably be the kind of guy and be like, we are gonna destroy Chad. I mean, just like the whole thing. I mean, like, it will just be a crater in the center of Africa. But I mean, like, if it was Russia or a nation that could possibly fight back against America, well, we're in diplomatic discussions to resolve this, and even though they're assholes and they're stupid and they smell terrible, I don't know, we'll just insert whatever Trumpian garbage you want to say. But I mean, like, that's the thing. He's really good about kicking people that are unable to defend themselves, i.e. Montenegro. You know, I mean, he's like, we wouldn't defend Montenegro. Yeah, you would. It's in your contract.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you're not big about actually abiding by your contracts, but I mean, like, it is actually in the contract that you fucking signed. Especially, you know, that whole Article 5 thing about coming to the defense of anybody who's in the UN.
Yeah, it's in there.
Read your release forms, kids.
Huh?
So read your release forms, kids.
Low budget. All right, so so I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, Dean said, what did he say specifically? He said he wants to hear about foreign policies America should have and why. Okay, so excuse me, hold on. All right. So now we talked about foreign powers. Let's talk about our foreign policies. He wrote. Jesus.
He wrote Jesus. Oh, I think he would be a lovely foreign advisor.
Okay.
Except for he just spends so much time getting nailed.
He said, like how Canada has free healthcare but taxes are high because of it. Japan has virtually no gun crimes but takes away a constitutional right we have, stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about healthcare. So you see how Canada has what every Canadian I've ever talked to or have seen speak about their healthcare, they love it. They're like, yeah, the waiting lines aren't that bad. I don't ever pay for shit. Yeah, my taxes are high, but huh?
I'm just helping you. Every time like you got done with a sentence, I said A.
Don't do that to me. So what do you think about that? I mean, why is that? You know, why was that so like? I mean, it's socialized medicine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it works very well for Canada, or at least in their eyes. Do you ever hear of any Canadian saying it sucks, or hey, there's Dean, hey dude, saying that they would rather have it the other way, like America has it? Ever?
Hell no. I don't think I've ever heard anyone in any other nation ever say that they want to have it like America has it.
Okay, like, you know, everybody gets their own insurance policies and shit. Like, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's a lovely system.
Socialized
I think that
medicine.
Socialized medicine, yeah, because I mean that's people get crazy. You know, I'm more conservative. I don't particularly like socialism, but that doesn't mean that everything that is socialism is evil. I think if you like had an overarching like purely socialist economy, then yeah, that's bad. Especially if you had like a socialist, if you had a socialist ideologue in place, then yeah, you would pretty much be shit out of luck. But you know, you can take things that are from horrible people and you can enact them into positive ways. And I think socialized medicine is probably the best example of how socialism of anything should work, should function.
Sure.
Because and you know, and I'm not even going to go so far as to tout the stupid idea of like, you know, everybody has a right to medicine. You don't have any rights. Shock. I know. Sorry, but I think that if we're going to have a policy about insurance, it needs to actually be something closer to that. And the only reason why we don't have it is just so that we can get like rectally destroyed by insurance companies who are paying big pharma, who are paying politicians. That's the only reason why. I mean, like that's the only possible reason we could have for not doing it.
Right. I mean, because of the system already in place. I mean, to
Right.
pull that system apart and like, Jesus. Okay, I know I have malware. To pull that system apart and to, you know, make it anything like Canada's, it's you got to put a lot of people out of jobs. You got to destroy companies, and you know what? I don't think that's ever gonna happen. Do you have any idea how Canada did it before? They had universal health care,
I don't actually. I have no idea how they did it before.
or did they?
The only thing
ever?
the only thing I can imagine is you can take. It's just like one of the things that Hillary had proposed during her election cycle was basically dismantling the coal mining process because of its degrading effects on both the people who do it and then the environment. But what she had proposed on doing was taking those people, and rather than just kicking them to the curb and being like, you know, coal's terrible, we're not gonna let you do it, she proposed that we re-educate them and then reintegrate them in some other field that's still in the energy industry but is in a different direction. Like rather than being coal, it would be natural gas. So I mean, you could take these people who work for the insurance companies, and most of them already have a skill set that they could apply to other things anyway.
Right.
And then you can effectively reallocate them as resources throughout the company. And you don't even really have to destroy a company. You just have to make it so like their medical insurance practices that are with the government are different. Because I think that you can still pay for, like, I think even in Canada, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I have no idea, but I think that you can actually still get better insurance than what's offered.
I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine that like one of the things that you could do is still have privatized healthcare, but then just pay more. So then like you have like whatever the government covers, you know, you want something additional. You want more than just whatever they do or whatever. I mean, like I don't know how it works, but I don't know how it would work like that. But I can't imagine that you would be able to, or you would have to destroy a company entirely without them having some kind of recourse in their normal work process.
Right. So you
Because
think
coal is like, you know, if you take the coal out of the coal factory, there is no more fucking coal factory. It's not like medical insurance. You can't take medicine out of a medical field and then be like, okay, now what? It's still going to be there. It's like if you go to be a mortician, you're always going to have work.
right. I mean, that's one of those fields that never dies, but you just have to change your
dies
focus,
a
I would
lot.
imagine. Ah, I see what you
They
did.
die a lot.
Yeah. Stupid.
You take that back.
Okay, I take it back. So, okay, so like, okay, what do you think would happen if we were to, over the course of a year, do away with privatized healthcare and put it solely on the government, but everything is covered, period? Like, in America. Like, starting next year.
Unemployment would go up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, unemployment would go up immediately just because, you know, you'd have insurance companies being like, well, we don't need this many people.
Right.
So, I mean, like, you'd have to try to think of some other way to do that. But, I mean, like, what you'd probably end up doing is those same people who work for insurance companies have the same skill sets that it would take to be part of the medical infrastructure of the broader medical community. So you could actually see with that amount of money, because what a lot of times, like, what doctors are so expensive because they have to pay for lawyers to deal with malpractice and that are just constantly coming up. Like my doctor back home, like he was a great doctor. He never had a problem with anybody, but he had to have a lot of lawyers on retainer all the time.
Right.
And they charged him all the time. And that's why he was so extortionately expensive, because he had to pay the fucking lawyers. And then you have to pay, as a doctor, you have to pay the insurance company to work with them. So it's
Right.
like you have to pay per procedure. So then like you have the lawyers that you're paying for. Now you have to pay for the insurance company. Now you actually have to pay for the fucking procedure, which is including but not limited to paying for the people who actually work for you.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why doctors. It's like you want to know why doctors are expensive? Lawyers and fucking insurance. So I mean, like you remove the insurance, you've still got the lawyers for malpractice, but insurance is still a big deal. So you see your, I guess like your premium for every time that you go to pay for something for the doctor, that would drop because unless the doctor's a fucking crook, and then so then you wouldn't have to pay as much to go to the doctor. I mean, because you have insurance. So I guess like doctors would make more money, by abstentia of insurance. So that's good. But then you'd see them being able to turn around and it would be more, I guess, governmentally funded where you could have more healthcare facilities and more broader reaching healthcare facilities. You wouldn't have to have them be so fucking understaffed.
That's fair.
So like those same people that like are running insurance companies right now, they could move over into like their local hospital and probably make a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, most of them are understaffed anyways. Jesus. But
I mean, how many times have you sat in a fucking waiting room at a hospital or a doctor's office and had to be there for like fucking like an hour and a half before they even like the lady at the front even takes your name?
I mean, actually, like 100% of the time, really.
Yeah, I mean, like it makes me just incredibly angry. Sometimes I want to throw a chair at her, but I know it's not her fault, but I still want to throw a chair at her because I think it'd be fun and make me feel better.
Yeah, until they cart your ass out.
Why not throw a chair at them? Like, there's a whole bunch of chairs. I mean, like, there's not a shortage of chairs for me to throw at people.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Dean says, wasn't there a guy who bought a medicine and raised the price? Yeah, Shkreli.
Yeah, Martin Shkreli, who was going to prison
He raised the price on it for like 1,000%. Now
as a cancer medication.
it was a cancer medication, and it was interesting because the guy is a fucking weirdo, but he had an actual reason for it. He didn't go to jail for that.
No, not for that.
He went to
That
jail.
was an ethics crime.
Yeah, that was an
I mean,
ethics crime.
people look at it and go, "You're fucked up."
He went to jail because he did that, and then they put him underneath a microscope. And when they put him underneath a microscope, they found out that he did some shady, stock exchange shit. Like, I
No,
don't
he
know.
stole it.
He stole what?
He stole the proprietary information to make that medicine.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like he basically bamboozled the company and then like shifted shit around and then got the money from the company to buy the company's property, and the company was like,
The
"Can
hell
he
is
do that? Can he do that? I don't think he can do that." And then he like went off and he was like, "Gonna raise it by 1,000%." It was actually like, I think it was actually like almost 2,500%. I mean, it was an insane amount. But I mean, like it went from like $100 a pill to like like almost $4,000 or something. It was insane.
He did that, but it's weird because like yeah, he did some shady shit, and he was but he also like had a website that if you just went to his website and sent him an email, he would give it to you for like free. So it was weird.
know that.
Yeah, he even he explained it in like a Skype chat with somebody, and somebody recorded it. But basically, he said, "Look, the way things are right now, the reason why I have done what I've done is because it is a gross injustice as to how insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies are wrecking our nation. So I'm just basically doing it, exaggerating the shit out of it, so it is getting attention. But if you need the prescription, if you need the drug, send me an email. I'll give it to you for free. And tell your friend, tell anybody who needs to know about it, that privately I will give it for free. When it comes to insurance companies, when it comes to pharmaceutical companies, I want the price to be sky high so it's noticed." And I thought that was interesting.
That's kind of that's a laudable idea. It's almost like the a Robin Hood of pharmaceutical drugs.
Right. Which you would never expect of somebody like that.
No, but at the same time, I mean, like he could have just as easily made that public.
Right. Instead of just a Skype chat.
Yeah, and then if he had made that public, even if he did charge a price for it, even if it was like a minor price hike,
Mm-hmm.
just by saying that, people would have bought it in droves.
Right.
So I mean, like, there's no need for you to play the villain in a story that only requires a hero.
True. Very true.
Because I mean, here's the flip side. He could have been the hero in every way, and then he could have demonized the insurance companies and etc. Anyway, because all you had to do is just be like, "Yeah, I got this thing, and I'll give it to you for free if you have a prescription for it."
Right.
You know, because I know, and then make it publicly known, because the insurance companies will gouge the shit out of you, and then that would immediately put all that. I mean, if that was his actual goal, it wasn't to make money and be a douchebag. That would have been like, here is the moral conundrum of what we have going on in this country right now, and then drop it square in the lap of Congress.
Right.
Be like, all right, your people are literally so fed up with the bullshit that you be cooking that someone is taking it upon themselves to effectively liberate a life-changing and life-saving medication for your people, and you have elected to do nothing.
Right.
Now, what do you do? Do you do something, or are you going to be an enemy of the people?
That could have worked. I don't know. Yeah, he did it really shittily. And then
But instead he was a prick, and honestly I don't even believe him.
Yeah.
I don't. I think that he was just saying that because he only says that shit after he was already in hot water for everything he already did.
Right.
I mean, he was already being like incredibly demonized. So like at this point, I mean, like he's like, well, I got to do damage control if I'm actually going to try to keep any income going. So
Right.
well, I'd give it to you if you just asked me for it. Now you're a fucking liar.
You might be right. That's just the story I heard.
He literally stole it. So it's like you are not Robin Hood. You know, I mean, you're not Robin Hood. If you're really Robin Hood, you'd have worn a mask, and you'd broken into the whole facility and sold fucking sacks of that shit.
Right.
And came out there like a fucked up Santa Claus. Didn't. You just stole from people who had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Not impressed.
No, not even a little bit. Yeah, like I said, I heard that in the news. I'm like, that's something worth at least mentioning. But yeah, he went about it all wrong. He could have done it so much better. He could have, like, been more in your face when it came to the government rather than, hey, this is what's happening. You guys figure it out, you know?
Yeah, because he should have been. I mean, like, if that was his goal, he should have been an activist and not just been like a shadows critic. I mean, like, as if he had really like gone out of his way to make a big deal about it. I mean, like, he could have done so much more with it. But I mean, that's really the reason why I'm like, yeah, he's full of shit.
That was the same guy that bought that Wu-Tang Clan album, the one that they only made one copy of and they sold it for $5 million. He says, I'm gonna buy the Wu-Tang Clan album and then I'm gonna distribute it. Yeah, that's what you're spending your money on, fucking asshole.
That's so stupid. That's so fucking dumb.
So what other?
Like, I buy some dumb shit, but I mean, like, I'm not $5 million for one fucking CD from a shitty band, you know? I mean,
well, you don't have that kind of bankroll, you know. You don't have that kind of.
I wouldn't do it anyway. I mean, even if I did.
Yeah, I mean, $5 million? You could buy, I don't know, a neighborhood and house the homeless in that area.
I would be more likely to do that than I would be to buy Wu-Tang, and I have absolutely no interest in housing the homeless.
True, I understand, because Wu-Tang. It ain't nothing to fuck with.
I don't even know who the fuck they are. I mean, you keep saying Wu-Tang, and all I keep thinking about is that those old commercials with like the watery orange juice mix and the orangutan, you know?
They're a rap group way back in the 90s.
That I'm extra specially uninterested now. You're right. I would have. Set for all your homeless people. I mean, like we're gonna build a neighborhood.
So, anyways, so let's talk more about foreign policy. What other countries, or what other policies do certain countries have that you think would be beneficial to America if we were to take it in and make it policy? Can you think of any?
Not really. Only because like America tends to lead by example on a lot of that. But right now,
True.
The rest of the world really feels like it's lost their goddamn minds. with this whole. I mean, I'm hesitant to call it, but the PC culture. It really feels like the world has lost its mind,
Yeah.
and we are instigating draconian laws on the majority for the sake of placating a minority, and it makes me confused more than anything, because I mean, as far as for supposedly being like a democratic system, the UK and the European Union and America to a degree, that's not how democracy works, right? It's not the smallest vote wins, right? You get that, right? Because I mean, they like, I know we're like, I'm all about everybody's equal rights, but like whenever you start contemplating whether or not, when you start contemplating laws that are going to make it practicable for people from foreign nations to come in and establish their own governing set of rules and regulations inside of a community, it makes me go,
No.
are you fucking for real?
That's get your own country.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a reason why you're an expat.
Right.
I mean, like, you didn't move here because your last country was so fucking super.
Right? Seriously. That blows my mind. Like, how... whatever. Dean says there's a country that does lashings for crimes like drunk driving and rape.
The Philippines.
The Philippines? Well, I mean, also the Filipino president literally goes out with his armed guards and just plucks off drug addicts and homeless people that are drug addicts for fun.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you, and like you may hate me for this, but I'm actually not entirely against that. I'm not, because there comes a point whenever you dedicate so many resources to people that are unwilling to be helped or helpful. Where do you stop?
I don't think becoming a boogeyman is the right approach. Well, first of all, literally going out onto the streets and killing people because you think that they're bad people, whether or not that be true, is not very effective. I mean, it might be effective in ending. It's like okay, let's just be objective here and not say, oh my god, I feel bad for those people. Let's just say, for the sake of the end goal, what will that accomplish? It'll scare the shit out of people. You'll be governing through fear at that point.
Which he already does anyway.
Which he already does. And it's basically putting Band-Aids on it. It's like, okay, well, got one more off the street. It's not, to me, it's as far as, being being the leader of your country, being in power, you could do so much better by, I don't know, signing a few pieces of paper that change policy around rather than going out and taking pot shots at fucking drug addicts.
That's the problem, though, is that he actually is at that point where we're solving it by law enacting is actually no longer effective in the Philippines. Now, in America, that might work, but in the Philippines, it doesn't, especially considering that right now they're facing incredible violence and backlash from the Muslim community, who are a lot of times funding their operations through drugs. So, their problem comes in twofold then. So where, like, you have people that are homeless and that are drug addicts that are committing crimes in order to perpetuate their habits and to get money for that, and then you've got the Muslim insurgents on the other end that continue to do both of the above for the sake of destabilizing the government. So then you have Duarte, who I'm not saying like he's doing a good thing by any stretch of the imagination, but I can understand where he's at the point where, like, now you can almost view the foreign invader and the drug addict and the homeless person as being part and parcel of the same overarching problem. So, like, and at this point, they are effectively domestic invaders.
Yeah. So at that point, I would
you
imagine,
eliminate the enemy. And you eliminate the enemy, and if you kill all of them, or enough of them, to where you beat the fight out of them, then your reformations for education and for your anti-drug and whatever, then those can actually take root. Because right now it's like, so like say like you've got like a huge pool of water and it's in your fucking living room and you really want to get it, you really want to stop it, but you only have like one, you have like an towel. Right? Okay. And then you throw another towel in there. Well, man, that was cool. There's no point if the pipe in the corner continues to just like disgorge like gallons of water at a time.
Right.
So then like, you eliminate that first problem, the stem problem, and then you eliminate everything else, and then now you've got like a complete house that you have to take care of now. So I mean, like, if he eliminates the source of the drug problem, and then the drug addicts and the homeless people that are all imbibing of said drug problem, then he now has an effectively clean house that he can enact new laws and regulations in to bring the Philippines out of being a third world country. Now, I don't think Duarte is smart enough to do any of that.
Right.
I also think that with his boogeyman approach, he lets people know what's happening. And if he really wants to be effective and he wants to maintain the same level of policy killing drug addicts and homeless people, he needs to be doing these things by secreting people away.
Which he is doing, by the way.
They need to just disappear. He can't walk out and just shoot somebody. He needs to be the benevolent or benign ruler in the face, on camera, and be like, oh, gosh, I really wish that this country would just be better. I just want it to be so much better than it is right now. But then in secret, he's making thousands of people disappear, and he's liquidating all of them. And then in the end, whenever everything's said and done, and then all of a sudden, then the word works come out and be like, actually, we killed all those people. And then you kill everybody else that was involved in it. Now you get to start from the beginning.
Dean says, what was that, PL? Philippines? Philippines does probably have a drug problem, but they also have a huge problem with guns. The military had them making our guns back in the day for one of our wars. Now they make a ton of guns.
I'm sure they do.
I mean, and send them to the states without serial numbers. That is interesting. I mean, so they send them to America without serial numbers. So essentially, they're black marketing guns over to us.
Sure. They have no other means of making money.
True, but so do we have like a serious problem in the States with black market guns?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I haven't followed that.
Well, I mean, it's so like say like like in LA, New York, etc., where like you have like your gangbangers that have multiple convictions, and
Right.
then they get a gun. They can't. I mean, like no matter what your lib friends say, you can't walk into a place if you not like you specifically. You I saw the look on your face. What the fuck did you just say to me? That you can't have a conviction of any kind and then walk into a place and then buy a gun. Especially these guys that like you walk into like a normal gun store and you get like the fucking teardrop tattoo and shit, and like you got like you're all neck tats and shit, and be like I want to buy a 45. Nope.
Get out.
I don't think so, sir. Because you kill somebody with that. Because we like back home. I don't know if there's everywhere else, but like back home. So like if you killed somebody, and you have like a permit for that weapon, they go to the place where you bought the gun from to look through their records. And like in our case in Arizona, because I got the CCW for it, like they actually have to look at like my test results.
Right.
And like my exam records. So I mean like that gun store is almost held liable for what you do with that gun.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean,
you can't be like, God forbid, like there's a guy that's like been there for like knifing somebody or whatever, and like, yeah, I bought him a gun because I believe in escalation.
I mean, that's okay. It might be apples to oranges here, but that's the same as if you're going to get a job that requires a degree, and then they call the college to make sure that you actually did graduate from there and what your scores were and shit like that.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same deal. They want to know if it's legit, and
yeah.
So
I mean, and like that's one of the not really a problem in this country, but I mean it is definitely like a one of our present day overarching themes, and that's accountability. And people being obsessed with liability. And everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else, and nobody wants to take responsibility for anything, even though, like, you know, the gun store owner is responsible in as much as that he wanted to make money. And if it was the guy had a noticeable criminal record, then yeah, he's responsible for facilitation. But then these are the same group of people that they're like, well, we know this guy's guilty, but that just doesn't feel nearly as just as having a whole bunch of people be guilty. So let's have this gun shop owner be just as fucking guilty, even though he stole the thing.
Right.
You know, and it's like, no, that you should, like, the only person who's fucking guilty is the guy who pulled the trigger.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's going beyond. I mean, when somebody commits a crime such as that, they're going beyond because they want to, like, okay, this was such a tragedy. Let's put more people in jail. Why? So it won't happen again.
Which is horseshit, because
Yeah.
it's going to happen again anyway.
Of
And you know, on the back of this statement that Dean's making about the guns from the Philippines, this goes back to the defense of the Second Amendment, where people are like, you know, well, if you take away all the guns, you'll reduce gun crime. Not so much. And this unequivocally proves that. If they are sending guns to the United States with no serial numbers on them, or just sending guns to the United States just in general, then there is a 100% you are going to have people on the street with guns, and they're going to be the worst people on the street with guns.
Right.
The only thing that a lot of times prevents people from doing more gun crime is the fact that there are other people with fucking guns.
Yeah. It's kind of equals out the playing field. I mean, you could press a button and kill somebody instantly, but guess what? I too can press a button and kill you instantly.
Yeah, it's deterrence, and
Yeah.
it's the oldest form of deterrence.
Sure.
You know, it's just like back in like the day whenever two people would walk into a cave, one guy's got a stone club, but by God, the other guy's got a stone club too. So you better keep your shit together. Thank you. I like it. It's grown on me.
I like it too. The damn mustache rights.
Gets me all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I mean, like, deterrence is a big deal, and I know in other countries where, like, they don't have guns, like, they don't have nearly as much gun crime, but I think that also has to do with over time becoming a more placid nation, and it makes me wonder about the effects of becoming a more passive and placid nation, because I think that it would be a major degradation to the moving forward of that society, because America still has teeth,
Right.
and we know when to use them and we know when not to use them. And yeah, there's some people that we do have gun crime. We have more gun crime than everybody else in the world because we have more guns than everybody else in the world. So in a lot of places we have more people
Right.
that are crammed into small spaces than everywhere else in the world. So then let's say, you know, Japan not that long ago was a nation with teeth, and now they're not. You know, so of course their gun crime is going to go down because they've effectively had, like, you know, the aggressiveness bred out of them. It's just like with the UK. I mean, like, they have very little gun crime because they have no access to gun crime. But it seems like over time, like, you know, the aggressiveness hasn't been nurtured in them as it has been. It seems like they're becoming more stagnant as a nation. I have nothing to really back that up with. It's a perception that I've been given from reading material that I've had online. Whether or not that's true, I have no idea. I mean, that could be incredibly false. It could be that nation is filled, Japan is filled with nothing but, like, the most masculine and muscular people of all time, and they're all body lifting neuroscientists. I don't know, but it doesn't seem that way to me.
I think personally, like, you look at Australia, for example. I mean, they had one of the worst gun massacres in the history of gun massacres at one point. And they took away all the guns. But I mean, when you're measuring, you know, violent crimes with a firearm kind of thing, if you're measuring that kind of stuff, yeah, gun crimes went way down when we removed all the guns. But what are they doing now? You know, like, stabbing people? I mean, I'm pretty sure stabbings went up by a whole lot. or
They did.
bludgeoning somebody to death went up by a whole lot.
People will
'Cause
find a way to kill each other, whether
Yeah.
no matter what. Someone's gonna die.
yeah, one way or another. I mean, I get it. Like, it's so easy to pull a trigger and end somebody's life. So I mean, it's so easy to like angrily like end somebody. So if you've got a knife or if you've got a any kind of melee weapon, it's more like stab, stab, stab. I'm pretty mad. Well, but you're still not dead. Stab, stab, stab. Like, I don't know. It takes a lot more out of you and a lot more contemplation as to what you're doing when you have to swing 15 times with a baseball bat. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
They're all like, you fucking what, mate? I do like I did that dingo. Fuck, I missed. Hold on.
Death by didgeridoo.
Boing, you down, what the fuck? I just. That would be me. I would make a joke that if I went to Australia, like I know that I would land and that would be the first thing I hear. That's again. I'm killing. I just jump right into the jet engine.
Nelson says guns don't kill people. People kill people. But as in the words
the guns
of
definitely help.
Eddie Izzard, the gun kind of helps. You gotta be really dodgy on the heart so you go bang right at it.
I mean, that was one of the discussions that we had whenever I was back in yield training days. That like if you had the moment of opportunity, you can kill people a lot faster and more effectively with a knife than you could with a gun, especially if they're all together. I agree with that 100%.
Really?
Yeah, doesn't make any noise.
Yes, it's a silent weapon.
Like you hear that, and then everybody starts taking off. But I mean, like if you just like walk into a crowd, you just like stick. I mean, you can get like 10, 15 people. People are like, someone okay?
Yeah, that's happened.
I know.
Recently.
I know it has.
And that's horrifying. You're absolutely right, but I mean, you're more likely to injure than kill. For one.
If you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, sure. I mean, if you're a freaking serial stabber, I mean,
if you just like walk up to a guy and be like, if you were one of those people that can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, and you imbibe in so much media that you're like, if the knife blade touches a person, they die.
Make sure it's from behind. If it's from behind, then it's insta kill.
Yeah, and I know that I'm sure that there are people that are like that. They probably like have like a knife and be like, I'm gonna do you, mate. Stick, and the guy goes, oh fuck, and you're like,
you're supposed to fall. The camera's supposed to disappear, go black.
but, and then they kill you, fucker.
See, that is horrifying. We're like, for one, there's gonna be some screaming, but people are gonna be like, why are they screaming? And then three or four more people get stabbed and be like, that motherfucker's got a knife. Then the running and screaming happens. I mean, you can't just go toot, 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 toot. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't think that's
you
gonna work.
you have to be smart. Like I'm not gonna be like, this is how you do it on camera, because that's insane.
Listen,
I mean, but I'd be like, I'm not doing that.
like I was saying before, I don't know. Okay, I was gonna say that I would imagine a person that's gonna go on a stabbing spree is usually gonna be intelligent, but I could be wrong. I mean, there's some pretty fucked up people out there that are pretty smart.
One of the most egregious school shooting. When I say shooting, it involved gunpowder, but it wasn't a shooting. A professor used dynamite on his class, so he was smart. He blew people up, but he blew people up though.
Yeah, like kaboom.
Yeah. So I mean, like you'd have to make it so that you would have to outlaw any kind of explosive device as well.
Damn, 4th of July.
Again, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, and by God, people are gonna kill people. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing is about how many people are in one area. Japan defies this. They defy this notion where you have a ton of fucking people in a small area and they're just okay with it. And that's one of the reasons why I said that I feel like as a culture that they've kind of like lost their teeth. But at the same time, they've had to, because they're an island nation that's what half the size of California, and they've got the population of the United States.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I understand why, but it's like if you have like in let's just say like in downtown New Orleans, there are so many people at any given point
Right.
that if you put that many people together and you keep them there and they quote unquote live there, they're gonna start killing each other all the time.
Yeah. They have to.
It's gonna happen, and they've shown this experiment with rats where like they took a bunch of rats, they had plenty of food, they had plenty of water, enough for everybody, but because there were so many in one area, they started killing each other. Just because they hated each other now.
Yeah, I mean,
It's too many people. Fuck them.
let's break it down to something that we could probably relate to. Dean
They do
says-
have a huge problem with suicide. That is absolutely true, and that also goes to their and not only goes to probably with them being so cramped together, but also has to go with their long-standing issues regarding failure
Yes.
of any kind. I mean, like they are devastated by it,
They
and I
dishonor
find
their
that
family.
I find that very, very disheartening. And that was a discussion I had with it was with a viewer from another country. God, it had to have been about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But was talking about how they had never heard of the phrase "if at first you don't succeed, try again." That's almost a purely American thing. And that's
crazy.
something that again separates us from the rest of the world. Where like if because like Abraham Lincoln, tried to be tried to run a general store, failed, tried to be a lawyer, failed, tried to run for Congress, failed, tried to run for governor, failed, and then becomes president. I mean, because he just kept doing it, kept trying new things. And like in a lot of other countries, if you fail, well, I might as well just go fucking kill myself or farm bread or whatever. I don't know.
I feel like we can relate that to this channel. If you fail, try again. Look, we're gonna keep doing this forever.
To me, this is a video log for my kids. So
So when you die, they can look at all the terrible things you said.
yeah, that's fine. At least I know who I was.
Dean says there was a guy recently who was finding women on Craigslist who were thinking about suicide and was killing them.
Dr. Kevorkian, is that you?
Oh my god. Look, I was just thinking about it. Put the gun down, dude.
I mean, look, that would be. I mean, that's one of those like. It'll be like a moral gray area, No,
Look.
seriously, because it's like I really want to kill myself. I really want to kill you because that's what I'm into.
That's my jam.
And you want to die, so we could help each other out here. And I'm just saying, they're gonna have to scrubbity dub the pecker tracks out of your sheet. But like, I don't know. Like, with that, is it murder?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
It is. No, it is. I'll tell you right now, it's
Assisted
murder.
suicide. Assisted suicide.
No, it's not. It's murder.
Assisted suicide with a handgun.
Fucking
Or nice.
some douchebag with a fucking handgun goes on a live journal. This guy feels sad. I'm gonna go to his house.
It's like you've seen my live journal.
So I was talking about the whole rat analogy or the study or whatever about people being crammed together. Just break it down to something like that we can all understand. Have you ever lived in a house with like 3 or 4 roommates for like a really long period of time? Let's say more than like 2 years. And let's just say you were friends at one point.
I feel like I should point out the past tense in that.
You were friends going into the arrangement, but by the end of those 2 years, you want to fucking kill them. Why? Because people need their fucking space. They really do. I mean, you can't you could be best of friends, but put your best friend in the same room as you for 2 years, day in, day out, and you want to fucking kill them. Like, just go away. I hate it when you fucking brush your teeth the way you brush it. Like, fucking.
It's like after a while, like everything they do offends you.
Yeah, you fucking pick your nose. I mean, I know I do it too, but you're gross.
It's like you find you put yourself you find yourself in the position where anything that your friend does just is you're like willing to absolutely murder him for it. Like, you know,
That was the last straw.
you like you know, it's like it's your turn to cook, you cook, and then they eat slightly too loud. You're like,
It's the last time you fucking leave your coffee cup unrinsed in the fucking dishwasher. You go to die. Okay, so let's catch up on the chat here. Nelson says, because there are so many people with lots of money and they get greedy and all they want is more money, but on the other hand, it's the people who need money as well in order to get food and other things, so they kill people in order to get the money to keep it for themselves, or they use the money to get food.
strongly disagree.
Me too.
Mostly because, like, as a society, if you jam pack a bunch of people in there like sardines, they're gonna kill each other for things that they won't they will kill each other for things as with less meaning than money.
Right.
The money is a non sequitur when it comes to things like that. Now, I mean, if you're talking about like necessity killing, like, you know, Les Miserables, for not, I guess not killing, but, you know, going for food, not money in order to be able to eat, things like that, because, you know, your society has degraded to the point of near anarchy due to
Survival of the fittest.
economic, survival of the fittest at that point. I mean, I don't think that's the same thing, because people with a ton of money, they don't need to kill other people. They don't need to. They might want to, but I mean, like, they don't need to, because their needs are being met. They have enough money. They don't need to kill somebody else for anything other than the logos of that. I really enjoyed doing it.
Right.
So I mean, like, you know, let's American American Psycho. You know, I mean, like, I know, Dream, whatever, but I mean, like, he doesn't need to kill anybody. He doesn't have to. He has everything. He is not wanting for anything in his life except for that he wants the enjoyment and the thrill of taking a life, and so he'll kill somebody for it. And honestly, the reason being because there's probably he needs nothing. He has everything. All of his needs are being met to such a degree that he has almost no emotional fulfillment for anything else. Because 99% of your life is about the struggle. And if you aren't struggling for anything, that you're not actually achieving anything on a personal level. So if you're not achieving anything on a personal level, you need to find some other way of fulfillment. And the only other way to do that beyond like your normal means is to do something that you normally wouldn't ever be able to do, like kill somebody else. I mean, because you had that problem back in Rome, whenever like Rome was literally doing so much for the people, keeping the plebeians happy, and they had food and they had money and they were doing well, to the point where plebeians started rioting, and they couldn't get them to stop rioting because their needs were being met so well, but they were so tightly packed together that they couldn't deal with the frustration of being effectively incomplete. Right. They had no real struggle for anything. So then they had to open up the games, and then killed some of the rioters.
I mean,
you effectively have to oppress your people to some degree in order to make them struggle.
I feel because they didn't have Ron Swanson. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even know what that is.
Ron Swanson was a character in Parks and Rec. He was the definition of libertarian. That was his take on everything, and he was a meat-eating American with a big mustache. So that's Ron Swanson. But anyways.
Okay, hold on. No, wait, let's back that up. Okay. Let's talk about Ron Swanson for a second. What is Ron Swanson's definition of being a libertarian? Are we talking classical, like John Locke libertarian, or are we talking about like modern definition of libertarian, like John Johnson, or the fuck his name was?
His main view is government needs hands off of everything. Everything. He was head of the Parks and Recs department, but he thought his job was completely pointless and could be done with an answering machine.
Oh.
So
what's his problem?
He hated the idea of his job, but he was really good at his job.
So he feels like government needs to be out of everything. We should have no government.
Yeah, basically.
It's a fallacious argument, and it's idiocy beyond words. I mean, because first, it's not libertarian; that's anarchist. I love people that tell me, like, "Oh, I'm a classical libertarian. I think that we need no government." well, then you're an anarchist. You're
Yeah,
not
so-
a
yeah,
libertarian of
anarchist.
anything.
Maybe I
Also-
described him wrong, but no, he. it was
Also, ironically, I love Antifa videos where they talk about how like they want like liberal this and liberal government that and whatever, or the even worse ones where they're talking about like they want a complete anarchy, but then they're the first ones to run to the cops. Like no, you stand there and you die. Like
you brought
stand
this
there,
on
like
yourself.
that is my impetus as my personal desire as a liberated person is that I want to fucking kill you. Like you have your rights and I have my rights, but because we're in an anarchy, I'm going to express my rights by killing the shit out of you, and your job is to try to either kill the shit out of me or get away. But I guarantee you that I'm going to kill you. And that is going to be my expression of your anarchist government. And anybody who flies a fucking Antifa flag should just get gunned down, because I think this shit would be fucking ironic and funnier than hell. Like,
I mean, yeah.
because it's like cops. I mean, like if there's a little UC Berkeley, because they're my target, because they always allow everybody to do whatever they want to.
Right.
I would if like they throw the Antifa flag up, that's for the anarchy, because I know Antifa has like a whole bunch of stupid little flags like that have different meanings. As soon as like the cops like see them throw up the one that's just for anarchy, they go, all right, let's go, guys, and then just leave, and then let the right wingers in and just beat them to death right in the street. I mean, like, you got what you wanted. You're welcome. Big government left.
that would be very, very pleasing. What I was saying before, I actually had this discussion about the about rich people in general. Okay, so we have a friend that's very well off, and money is no longer an issue. And so we were just talking like, okay, so we have never, I don't want to say we, myself, have never been in a situation where money was not a problem, you can't even begin to comprehend not having to struggle, week in and week out. So we started thinking about, famous people. I mean, what's her name? Dua Lipa, I think it was. No, it was Demi Lovato. She apparently OD'd on heroin recently, and everybody was all shocked and shit. Like, dude, she's fucking super rich. She's like one of the top pop female stars today. I'm like, yeah, when you get that much money, and you're really good at what you do, you don't have to try anymore. So you want to get more and more excitement out of life. So why not try heroin? Why not fucking do some coke? Like that's a lot of the motivating factor for, these movie stars and these freaking rock stars ODing on shit. It's like, well, life is pretty fucking boring. Let's see what this does to me, So, I mean, it's that or killing people. No, I mean, how many movie stars and rich people have you seen go on killing sprees? That's just crazy talk.
Real talk, like, as far as like percentage of people who have ever actually gone on a killing spree, it's incredibly low.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, like, if we took like the entirety of Hollywood and then averaged it out throughout the entirety of the world, they probably still haven't hit the percentage of people who have actually gone on mass murdering rampages.
Right.
So I mean, that they would be following the overarching statistical trend of people who haven't committed mass murder.
Just imagine fucking Sean Penn.
Sean Penn is practically a mass murderer because he bores me to death. I could probably fill up a fucking bathtub with the bullshit that he's cried about. God, I hate Sean Penn.
Everybody, lock your doors. Sean Penn's coming.
I'd have to lock my guns away. He would be somebody I would shoot. Just be like, shut. I just want you to be quiet forever. That's my only goal. Forever. No, I think one of the problems that people have is that they don't. I mean, like, I know this is just like, this is one of those moments where like Neil's just gonna roll his eyes at me. They don't have enough. They don't spend enough time thinking, and they don't have enough time. They don't have enough philosophy in their lives. Because I mean, this is a classic. It's a classic aristocrat problem that even back in the 1650s when Rene Descartes was writing his books, he was encountering a lot of higher bred people that were suffering the same problems because they had everything, and they had overwhelming depression. They didn't understand why, and so then he said, well, the majority of the reason why is because you're not spending enough time actually thinking. You're not spending enough time thinking. You're not spending enough time actually reflecting on what is actually life.
Right.
And he wrote just a whole variety of books based on his discussions with the Princess of Sweden at the time, who was suffering from huge bouts of depression based off of that exact same thing, that she didn't understand like what her purpose in life was. And he pretty much told her that nobody knows what that is, and nobody will know what that is because everybody's purpose is different.
Right. Well, I mean, you also have to understand that these people, I think it's just incredibly selfish in general. You get to the point where you're a mega star and you're like, I've donated to charity here and there and felt good, kind of. But let's try heroin. Like, it doesn't, like, compute with me. You have more money than God. You have houses, cars. Your family is set for life. Their freaking kids, their kids' kids, all set. You're like, good, I did what I was supposed to, right? Right? But you look at, like, fucking Bill Gates, for example. One of the richest men on this planet. What does he do? I'm going to form a foundation and help other countries stop the spread of disease. They're like, I mean, he's like, him and his wife Melinda are one of the biggest combatants against malaria in third world countries. Which is huge. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I have basically infinite money. What should I do with it? I don't know. Maybe fucking help people like that can't help themselves. I don't know, but
yeah,
you don't see him fucking shooting up and snorting coke. I mean, or at least maybe he keeps it pretty private. It just goes with his cereal in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, pour heroin with your Wheaties, so you can lift really hard then sleep.
I don't know. It just doesn't fucking make sense to me.
Got your Wheaties and you're lifting weights. You're like, do you see all these fucking dragons though?
I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
I think that a lot of it is that, you have these artist types that they're very creative, but they're very weak-willed people.
Yeah.
And they don't know enough about anything, and they resort to people either like putting things on them, like you should do heroin because it's what everyone else is doing. Like the old dare shit that they used to tell us in school that people would say to you, everyone's doing it, you should buy some. I mean, like these people are so disconnected from reality that at this point that, I mean, like they're probably like, oh well, if everyone's doing it, I want everyone to like me. Well, I guess I should do that. And it just, to me, if you're in that high castle, and then you start going for this level of recreational drugs, then all it shows to me is that you're a weak-willed individual.
Of course. I mean,
because you don't spend enough time here. You need something more, and that's sad.
This is incredibly sad. I mean, you look at, like, what was his name? Lead singer of Alice in Chains.
I know.
Damn it, I can't remember his name. Anyways, he OD'd on heroin, and that was the end of his life. But I mean, you listen to his music, and you listen to like the shit he's gone through in life, and it's like, dude, you lived a pretty fucking sad life, and you had all the money in the world to turn your life around, but you just couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know. I mean, he was an incredibly creative person. Lane Stanley was his name, by the way. Now I can remember. But I mean, he had no direction. Like, I think he started being on heroin. Like Jerry Cantrell was the guitarist. Lane Stanley is the lead singer. He's passed away. But yeah, I mean, that at that point, it's not like, I got to keep up with the Joneses and shit. It's more of a, this is my life and I can't get out of it, but let me sing about it and let you guys know what it's like. I don't know. I mean, some people are more about the art and more about, you know, expressing the struggle they're going through than they are about, I got nothing better to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's because those people actually have like their heads on straight. You want to read chat or you want me to read it?
Go for it.
So Dean says they need to bring back Ozzy. The Osbourne story just for Ozzy. There's some Zach Wilde in it called "Surviving Drugs." I agree with that. There was an article I read that scientists actually took like a substantial amount of drug culture or biological cultures from Ozzy, specifically because he's done so many drugs. They said he should have been dead several times over, and they wanted to find out how he survived it. And
Right.
they were interested in how he survived it, so they can see about helping people get off drugs.
Oh,
And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. So he was all about that. Nelson D says, and the stars will do these drugs and crimes, and a lot of the people and children who look up to them do the same things that famous people are doing, and they think that they're high in life. And then I made my comment, when they are not really thinking about how bad their lives are, trying to change it. Because, I mean, if you don't get your ass up and try, you won't even be able to change your life. Right. And again, I think this is because we as a culture are failing in the education department, especially in as much as we are not giving young people in particular any direction as far as what it means to actually try to lead a good life, and to have people actually understand that there is more to life than money and success. And though imitation is the most endearing form of flattery, those people who seek to give that kind of culture, that drugs and mayhem and whatever, they don't see that it's effectively morally bankrupt, then that also is a reflection on us as a culture.
yeah.
And though we allow people to have any kind of decision-making power in what they do with their lives, the fact that we aren't arming them sufficiently to be able to go forth and be a productive, either a productive member of society, or at least have a one of strong ethical or moral character, that is again a failure on us. And where you're with your comment, because if you don't get your ass up and try, you'll never be able to change your life. That's true. And you know, and the majority of Friedrich Nietzsche's work, where he describes the will to power, being able to effectively change things on your own, and should always have the willpower to do it. You should always try to move forward, making your life as good as you possibly can. But a lot of people can't get over the things that have happened to them in their lives that have brought them to this point, which even though it sounds kind of almost countermand to other Nietzsche's work, he also came up with the idea of amor fati, which is the love of one's fate, where you think about the things that have happened to you in your past, and you don't just accept them, you love them, because that is who you are now. It's everything that made you what you are right now, and that all of those things should make you to be a more driven and a more fierce advocate of your own life, so that you can go forward and change things for yourself and for everyone around you for the better, because you want to. And that's something that I think is really missing in our culture right now, is that we have people that are doing all these things for imitation. Let's just say, you know, I really like a pop star, but then this pop star is doing heroin. Well, they're doing it, and I should do it then, because I want to be just like them. That is a person, the mentality of someone who is incredibly weak-willed and incredibly low in both personal, moral, and ethical fiber. So we have effectively bred someone to follow someone who is also probably following someone.
Right.
And it's a chain reaction of weak wills that needs to be broken off at the education level. Whenever they're in primary school, they need to be taught the art of critical thinking, and we're not doing that anymore. It's something that needs to happen in order for us as Americans to actually have a society that will last another fucking, I don't know, 50 fucking years or whatever.
That's what I've run into a lot and thought about a lot. It's, you know, our public schools and our, especially like, you know, K through 6, it's all about this is what it is and not why it is. It's always about math, the numbers, the facts that happened before, but the critical thinking isn't there. You're absolutely right. It's never about why things are the way they are. And I can think I think I understand why, and it's probably because I think when you hand somebody the facts, it can be interpreted different ways by different people. Especially when you're talking about like history and social studies, stuff like that. Look, this is how it was. We all saw it as being terrible, but what do you think? I don't know. But I think coming together as a society, writing the history books and saying, this is what we've done so far. This is obviously bad. I mean, because we already have that mentality when it comes to like World War II and how Hitler, massacred all the Jews and blah blah blah. I mean, that's taught in schools as Hitler was an evil man, basically. So that is a very driven, very narrow-ended discussion, because the history teacher can literally just say to you, yeah, he was a bad man, he did bad things. But when it's something that's not so black and white, as far as critical thinking is concerned, how do you teach that to kids? How do you tell kids, hey, this is wrong, this is right? Because you don't really necessarily want your teacher teaching, the thing you may not agree with. What do you think about that, Frank?
You absolutely should have your teacher teaching you stuff that you don't agree with.
Okay. Well, not you, 100%. But the parents.
No, I know. I mean,
Okay.
like, if my kids don't, if I don't agree with what the teachers are teaching, they need to know it. I mean, because every piece of information, regardless of its source, is important, because it lets you make a decision. It lets you make a decision on what you find to be correct. And the process of teaching someone to have critical thinking skills isn't really relegated to a specific subject. It's just always about, what do you think? How does that make you feel? It's the old, rather trite, what is it? Things that they used to say like back in the 90s and 2000s whenever they're making fun of psychologists. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? I mean, that's kind of where it really goes, because you need to think about, like, what does it mean to you? Like, okay, well, this means to me that, let's just take the same example we're talking about. Like, well, Hitler was a bad man. Was he? Why? Well, he killed people. So we kill people all the time. Why was Hitler bad? Well, because he killed a specific group of people. So why is that bad? Well, he was trying to make his country better by killing people. Okay, well, he's trying to make his country better. It's like you have to have that struggle for, finding the right morality in what you're looking for. And by refuting an answer and making someone struggle to give you a correct answer, you can find an answer that makes sense for you, and that's really what's the basis of critical thinking.
Right.
So, like, I mean, even like whenever I was in school, teachers would get mad as hell at people that would be like, "Well, I don't understand that," and then they would have to keep, "Well, I don't understand what that means." They would keep saying it over and over again. It would make the teachers get exasperated trying to explain it, and I'm like, "No, this is why you exist in this building.
Yeah.
You're here to substantiate this book. I mean, fuck, I could go home and just read this. I don't need you."
Right.
I mean, like, you need to explain to me why this means anything. And if you are getting upset by okay, there's a difference between someone who's just being an asshole and then somebody who just is like, I need to know why. And it feels like we're turning out children that are just stare blankly, and then we ask them a quiz, and then it's whatever. They got a 99% on their tests. Oh, Tommy's a genius. And then, like, they get, because they get to me, at the workplace, and I'm like, Tommy, what's the capital state that you live in? I don't know. Tommy, you're a fucking idiot. Well, my parents and my teachers said that I was great. Well, they fucking lied to you, Tommy. You're not great. You're dumb as hell. I'm like, you need to get out and you need to fucking read a book. Actually read a book. Don't memorize sections of it and then regurgitate it at me at will. Actually understand what the fuck you're reading. Think about what you're actually think about what you're actually talking about, what you're actually reading. You need to really think about it. I mean, we were talking about Descartes earlier. Descartes used to sleep, not really sleep, but he used to wake up at 6 and lay in bed until 11. Thinking. Just thinking. That was all he would do, is just think. And that's such an important skill. And it doesn't matter where you do it. You just need to think about literally anything.
Right.
Just take it apart in your head. Put it into small digestible pieces and then take it apart all until you can find like a more comprehensive solution. If it's a broader subject, take it apart until you can understand it. And these are all skills and that they don't teach in schools right now, and it's infuriating. So I'm hoping that when my kids go to school, they'll take this information to those. If they take this information with them, so whenever like a teacher will tell them, like you said, have a I'm sure that my kids are going to get sent to the principal's office constantly, but like they, whenever they say, well, Hitler was a bad man because he was a bad man because why? But because he was. Well, just because someone is you say someone's a bad man doesn't make him a bad man. Principal's office. You said Hitler wasn't bad. That makes you a Nazi. I mean, in this day and age, if you want to refute any information presided over by an authority, it usually will end up making you either like one extremist or another.
Yeah.
Like you can't just have an opinion.
Right.
What do you think about everyone gets a trophy? I think that it breeds a society of weak-willed individuals that don't know the repercussions of failure.
I think it breeds complacency.
It does, because if everyone's a winner and no one is a loser, then there's no competition. There's no competition. There's no incentive to move forward.
Yeah, there's no urge or drive to get better at what you're doing.
Right. So go back to Tommy. Like, well, I got first place trophy in my T-ball team. So did everybody else, Tommy. You are not fucking special.
Right.
There's nothing good about you, Tommy. I mean, like, I've sat here at this interview for you for like 45 minutes, and I haven't found one good fucking thing about you.
No, it's actually very counterproductive to real life. I mean, to be honest, everything in life is competition. I mean, you're always striving to make more money, always striving to do the best, and competition breeds excellence. And you take that away, especially at an early age, you're just grooming them at an early age to be shocked when they do get slapped in the face with real life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I'm gonna keep picking on Tommy. It's like, you need to beat Tommy. You need to be better than Tommy, because fuck Tommy. I mean, and that's the mentality that you should have, especially like as an American. Like whenever it comes to like being a captain of industry, like I want to be the best. Like I will not
like no one ever was.
Like no one ever was. I will not suffer for what was it, the kid's name? God damn it, Gary. Is it Gary?
Ash versus Gary.
No, the other kid.
Yeah, Gary.
Ash. Yeah, I'm gonna be Ash. I'm not gonna be Gary. Because fuck Gary. Gary sucks. I'm gonna be best like no one ever was, because Gary can suck my dick. I mean, and that's whenever it comes to like, especially like in the workplace or in a competitive atmosphere, you have to have that mentality, because otherwise you're gonna be like, well, it's just a game and everyone has fun. No, fuck them. I mean, like at work in particular, because then otherwise, like, you're just really boring.
Well, as far as what Dean says, like at that level, I agree, but at a young age can build confidence, but obviously not to the point it's at. I think
right. I mean, like, if you've got like a bunch of 5-year-olds that are like trying to play, soccer, then yeah, they all get a fucking trophy. Even if it's like, if you have 3 teams and one person gets a first place trophy and the next person gets a second place trophy, one person gets a third place trophy. I mean, everybody got a fucking trophy, and that's fine. That's perfect, because they're 5, and you tell them, Well, you need to do better. You'll do better next time. I do it to my kids all the time. Like, my daughter beats the crap out of my son. Well at playing sports or whatever. I'd be like, well, you'll have to do better next time. You can do better next time. You have to work at it. You're not going to be instantaneously better.
Right.
And I think that's what's also extremely important.
Absolutely. I don't know. I still don't know if I would be okay with. I mean, not that I really have a say in the matter, but I don't really care for the trophies, even at younger ages. I mean, there should be team pictures and your little picture at the end of the season kind of thing, and that should be fine. But at that point, I mean, you dumb down the game so much. It doesn't matter. I mean, the game doesn't matter. You're really just learning how to play at that age. You look at
Sure.
fucking baseball. It's t-ball. You look at soccer. They reduced the size of the goal by like 80%. So I mean, it doesn't matter. You're just learning how to play. And yeah, I wouldn't even call it a trophy. You get a participation plaque that says you were here and your team was in 17th place. Who fucking cares? You did it. You're a kid. Kids need to be kids. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking.
One
about
of the
math.
things that's really important about giving them a trophy, one of the reasons I can understand it, even if they were in 17th place or whatever at that young age, is that it's trying to give them incentive to get back out on the field.
Sure. Okay.
You got something for it. You know what I mean? Like, so, or the other repercussion is well, I worked all that hard. I didn't get anything for it. I'm just gonna sit in my house and play video games. Or I worked really hard. I got something for it. It's just a participation trophy though, and let's work harder at it next time.
Dean says the reason I brought it up was that my daughter gets so down on herself for not winning something that she doesn't want to do anything else at all.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like that's part of the I mean, I understand that, but we need to the trophy thing is good because it can build our confidence to work harder, and I agree with that to build confidence to work harder, but it's also important to impart on her, as I'm sure that you are, that a material reward does not equate success.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
Success is effort, and success is what you as an individual took from the experience. So though she didn't get a trophy from it, she showed the gumption that most people her age probably would never have to get out there and do it. And even in failure, find victory. Because she's taken something from it.
Let me give you a little piece of advice, a method that I typically use, and you might even use it for yourself. It's called progress pictures or progress reports, basically. I mean, okay, so if your child is doing soccer or baseball or they're singing or dancing, who knows? Film it all. Film it just 5 to 10 minutes of it. Of a game or a practice or a rehearsal or recital, you name it. Film it beginning, middle, and end, and a little bit in between of those. And when your child, or even yourself, if you're trying to work out, trying to get stronger, trying to lose some freaking weight, who knows, make sure you take progress pictures. Because when you're sitting there and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, or you're just sad because you didn't get the part you wanted, or you've been benched, who knows, you can sit there and look at the progress that you've made thus far and be like, you know what, I was that shitty back then, but I've come a long way, and I think if I keep on doing what I'm doing, I can be that much better in this much time. So I think that alone, minus any kind of trophies you might get, would be a good enough motivator, in fact better than any other trophy, to know that how good you are now as opposed to how you were originally, and how much further you can go. I mean, you look at the greats, these professionals and the athletes and all these people, and you see what was the whole Michael Jordan story that he got they said that he would never play basketball, or he got cut from his college or high school team, and then he went on to be one of the best fucking basketball players ever. I mean, that's fantastic and inspirational story, but for your own personal journey, I mean, you can equate how far you've come in that amount of time and kind of have an expectation of how far you can go in that much time going forward. Might not be true, but it's something to at least have for a frame of reference. Ding. Nelson
Also,
says,
tell your daughter that she's amazing, and it's all about how good she does. And I think that she's the best anyway. Doesn't matter what happens. And my opinion matters more than most other people's.
in Frank's little world.
My world's pretty broad, dog. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. Nelson says, with the marching band I'm in, when we go to competitions and get excellent, we might feel sad that we didn't win, but we will work harder to try to get superior. I mean, that's cool. I was in marching band for like 6 years, and to get an excellent is not bad at all. I mean, you gotta understand, there are bands out there that get goods. So, superior and superior with distinction is definitely something to strive for, but it could have been worse, and you've gotten to a point to where you can at least distinguish yourself to the judges as excellent, and I mean, that says something. So yeah, absolutely work harder. You've shown that you can get somewhere, so keep doing it.
Of course, like the thing about that though is that, you know, you have that desire to get to superior from excellent, but
Right.
it's also it's a collectivist desire,
Right.
and as social creatures, that kind of mentality spreads among people like wildfire. If you have people like it that are like-minded, it really doesn't take very much to get one person to just say out loud, we really need to get superior next time, and then everybody else immediately jump on board with it, especially if you're all like effectively in the same boat like you would be in a marching band.
Yeah, it's
So,
like a
I
real
mean,
support group.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like going to the gym, you know, going to the gym with a partner. You're more likely to stick going to the gym if you have somebody with you than you would be if you're going by yourself. You know, it's that collectivism. It's collectivism working in your favor in some way. It's that mob mentality.
Yeah, man. And on that note, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah, man, it's almost 3:00 in the morning.
You're such a trooper, Frank.
You know, I do the best I can. I mean, I read too much. Hey, you know what we should do? We should talk about the reading thing.
Oh, so
Frank's reading Rainbow.
So Frank's reading Rainbow. I guess that's what we're calling it now. The thing we just made up just now. So since Frank likes to read a lot of books and at great length, and to tell people about how much he reads and make you feel shitty for not reading.
Wow, someone's projecting.
He is gonna start a book club, basically. So, if you guys read a lot and are interested in having Frank read a book with you or something of that nature, he'll read anything.
Or if there's a book that you don't want to read and you want to know what it is or what's in it, I'll read it.
So
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, just send in your requests or whatever, and Frank will read it, and he'll probably make a short video on it, on what he thinks about it and what he took away from it. So definitely let us know. You can mail us at mail@dastardlygentleman.com. You can send us a tweet. We're at dastardlyman. You can like us on Facebook. I mean, we're not hard to find. We're freaking everywhere. In fact, I checked lately, and anytime you type in the word Dastardly into Google, we immediately pop up. That's awesome, by the way. So yeah, just find us, and we'll be happy to take your feedback to heart and, you know, make something out of it. I mean, this specific podcast, this specific podcast was, you know, put together because of Dean Tisdale here, and the commentary. He thought of a good topic, and here we are talking about it at 2 hours in. So please let us know. If you want to hear more of this or more like this, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get notifications when we go live again. You know, if you just want to watch our podcast, that's fine. But we also do a lot of video game streams as well, so feel free to skip that or don't. Up to you. But that being said, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for dropping by and being a part of our show. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, look at this photograph. Like just about every time I do it, seriously just starts making me laugh.